Investigation in Clay County. A 14-year-old boy is in custody, accused of killing his own parents at their Middleburg home, then walking to a church to call 911. Tonight, someone who called that family his own is speaking with News4Jax about this tragic loss.
They were probably the best or one of the best families I knew. They were funny and they treated me very well. They told me all the time that they loved me like a son, and they treated me as such.
The Clay County Sheriff's Office says David Lee
was a 44-year-old man who lived with his wife and son in Middleburg, Florida. He kept a quiet life and worked hard to provide for his family. People who met him said he was respectful and calm. He often stayed out of trouble and focused on his home and responsibilities. Brandi Smith, his wife, was 45 years old. She was known to be organized and active in her daily routine. She often took care of the house and made sure things were in order. Friends and neighbors said she was friendly when they saw her outside or in the community. Together, David and Brandi raised one child, their only son, Trevor. They were seen together at school events or shopping nearby. Nothing about them seemed unusual. They did regular things that most parents do. They kept to themselves and avoided public problems. Some people in their area said the family was respectful and private. They were not loud or known for any trouble. There were no reports of police being called to their house before. The family had lived in the same home for a while without any known problems. One of Trevor's close friends once spent time at their house and described the parents as welcoming. The friend said he was allowed to visit often and felt accepted. Both David and Brandi made sure visitors were safe and followed the rules inside the home. There were no known warnings, public arguments, or signs of danger involving David and Brandi before the event. They lived in a neighborhood where most people went to work, school, and came home without problems. The couple never posted anything strange or alarming online. Before the shooting, David and Brandi were simply known as two adults taking care of their child. They lived in a small home, had a car in the driveway, and followed a normal schedule like many other families in the area. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Where are you tuning in from? What are your thoughts as this story unfolds? Your voice matters. These are real people, real tragedies, and real lessons we can't ignore. Share this video with someone you care about. It could make all the difference. Welcome to Unseen Crime Dossiers, your home for spine-chilling cases, haunting before mysteries, and deep dives into the world of crime. From jaw-dropping real-life events to groundbreaking forensic discoveries, we're here to uncover the truth behind the most gripping investigations. Step inside, examine the evidence, and lose yourself in the shadows of true crime. On August 3rd, 2025, everything in the Lee household appeared normal to the outside world. There were no emergency calls, no loud noises, and no visits from neighbors. The family's home sat quietly like every other house on the street. Trevor Lee had spent most of that day inside. He did not attend any events or go to school, as it was still summer. He had access to electronic devices and was active on social media. Some of his recent online posts had a darker tone, but no one nearby reacted or reported anything. There is no record of David Lee or Brandi Smith making any public complaints or sharing concerns about their son on that day. No one from a household reached out to friends, law enforcement, or family members about any unusual activity. The evening moved forward without any visitors or interruptions. Police later reviewed the home security and found no signs of forced entry or outside involvement. That confirmed Trevor had been at home before and during the critical hours. The inside of the house remained undisturbed, with no property damage or theft noted. That Sunday evening, the weather in Middleburg was calm. Streetlights came on as usual, and homes around the neighborhood prepared for a typical quiet night. Nothing unusual was reported by nearby residents, and there were no loud disturbances. Inside the home, Trevor had access to a firearm. It was not locked away. Authorities believe the gun used in the incident belonged to someone in the house and was kept in a location Trevor could reach. No one else entered or left the home that night. The last known activity before midnight was digital. Trevor was online shortly before 12 a.m., and his location was tracked to the family residence. There were no final phone calls, no goodbye messages, and no sounds of warning. Everything remained quiet until the first shots were fired. At some point after midnight on August 4th, 2025, the calm inside the Lee household ended. Inside the home, Trevor Lee used a firearm to shoot both of his parents. The act happened quickly and without warning to anyone outside the house. David Lee was found first. He had suffered fatal injuries caused by the firearm. He was pronounced dead at the scene by authorities. He was discovered inside the house in a room with no signs of a struggle or movement. Brandi Smith was also shot and killed. Her body was located in another part of the home. The gunshot wounds were visible, and police confirmed she died before emergency help arrived. There was no sign she had tried to escape or call for help. The weapon used in the shooting was a handgun. Investigators later confirmed it belonged to someone inside the household. There were no signs that Trevor had taken from outside or stolen it. The gun was left behind after the shootings. The crime scene was found to be clean and undisturbed, other than where the victims were located. No rooms were torn apart. No items were stolen. Police noted that the shooting appeared to be targeted and focused only on the two victims. Trevor did not alert anyone immediately. He left the house alone, leaving the two bodies behind. He did not call for help from inside the home and made no attempt to hide the crime. He left through the front door and walked away. It was later confirmed that no one else was inside the house during the time of the shooting. No alarms were triggered, and no neighbors reported hearing the gunshots. The home remained silent until police arrived hours later. After leaving the house, Trevor Lee began walking alone to the quiet streets of Middleburg, Florida. It was still dark outside, and no vehicles were seen nearby. He moved without drawing attention or alerting anyone around him. He walked more than 1 mile to reach his next destination. The road was mostly empty, and street lights lit his path. There were no reports of anyone seeing him during the walk. His movement was not captured on any nearby cameras until he reached his final stop. Trevor arrived at Cross Point Church, a local place of worship not far from the family's home. The building was closed, but lights were on in some areas. The front door had no visible damage, and there was no sign of forced entry. Once inside, Trevor asked to use a phone. A person at the church allowed him to call emergency services. He stayed calm and did not try to run or hide. He clearly stated what he had done and gave his location without delay. During the 911 call, Trevor explained that he had killed his parents. His voice was quiet, and his words were direct. He told the dispatcher where to find him and waited for police to arrive. He asked for prayer while on the phone. When officers reached the church, Trevor was still there. He made no attempt to leave the area. He was taken into custody without a struggle. Officers did not find any weapons on him at that time. The arrest took place inside the church lobby. The scene was peaceful. No damage was found at the church, and staff cooperated fully with law enforcement. Trevor was then taken away for questioning and further processing. After Trevor Lee was arrested, police officers went straight to the home on Adams Road. They arrived just after sunrise and secured the scene. Yellow tape was placed around the property while detectives started their work. Inside the house, both bodies were found in separate rooms. Forensic teams took photos, collected evidence, and examined the area. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing appeared to be broken or missing. Crime scene investigators confirmed that only 2 people were killed and no other injuries were reported. The gun used in the crime was recovered from inside the home. It was placed into evidence and sent for testing. Detectives interviewed nearby neighbors, asking about any sounds or strange activity. Most said they had not heard anything unusual during the night. No one reported gunshots or screams. The neighborhood remained quiet before and after the incident. Officers also reviewed social media activity. Some of Trevor's online posts raised concern. Certain messages seemed dark or confusing, and detectives kept those records as part of the case file. Screenshots were saved for future court use. Trevor was taken to a secure location for questioning. Police recorded his answers and asked about the timeline of events. He spoke clearly and answered every question about where he had been and what he had done. No lawyer was present during the first talk. Medical examiners later confirmed the time of death for both victims. The cause in both cases was listed as gunshot wounds. The findings matched the physical evidence collected at the scene. After the investigation was completed, the state attorney's office filed 2 counts of second-degree murder against Trevor Lee. These charges were based on the evidence collected at the crime scene and Trevor's own statements to police. Trevor, only 14 years old, was charged as a juvenile. However, the court later reviewed the case to decide if he should be tried as an adult. Due to the serious nature of the crime, prosecutors requested that he be moved into adult court. His first court appearance was held at the Clay County Juvenile Detention Center. He wore a standard detention uniform and appeared in front of a judge. No family members were present in the courtroom that day. During the short hearing, the judge confirmed that Trevor will remain in custody without bond. A public defender was assigned to represent him. The court also scheduled future dates to decide how the trial would move forward. Prosecutors continued building their case by adding more witness statements and digital records. Messages, call logs, and device history were placed into the case file. No plea was entered at the first hearing. Mental health experts were also assigned to evaluate Trevor. Their goal was to understand his mindset and emotional condition before and after the killings. The court gave permission for full psychological testing to be completed. As the legal process continued, public attention grew. News reports followed every new update, and people across the country reacted to the story. The case remained under close watch by both legal experts and the local community. News of the double killing shocked the people of Middleburg. Many residents could not believe such a crime happened in their town. It was something they were not used to hearing about in their neighborhood. Neighbors who lived close to the family expressed sadness. They remembered David and Brandi as quiet and respectful. Some left flowers near the mailbox and placed candles outside the house in silence. Local schools responded by offering support to students. Counselors were made available for anyone who felt scared or confused. Teachers were told to be extra watchful and calm during the school week that followed. Church groups and community leaders held small gatherings. People came together to pray and speak about the loss. They also talked about how young people in the area might need more guidance and supervision. Social media became a space for public reaction. Some shared photos of the victims, while others posted words of support or disbelief. A few people asked how something so serious could have happened without warning. Local businesses shared messages of sympathy. A nearby grocery store placed a message on its front board saying, "Praying for the family." A gas station offered free coffee to first responders in honor of the victims. The town remained quiet in the days following the incident. Streets were less busy, and people stayed indoors more than usual. Flags were lowered outside some buildings, and the mood across Middleburg was still and heavy. David, Lee, and Brandi Smith had been together for several years before the tragedy. They lived in a quiet home on a peaceful street. Friends described them as private people who mostly kept to themselves. David worked in construction and was known for being reliable. He often left early in the morning and came home before dark. His co-workers respected his work ethic and said he rarely missed a day on the job. Brandi was active in caregiving roles and sometimes helped elderly neighbors. She was described as kind and patient. She enjoyed reading and kept her space neat. People who knew her said she stayed away from conflict. Trevor was their only child. He attended a local school and was often seen walking to and from the bus stop. Teachers noted that he completed most of his schoolwork, but didn't speak much in class. He rarely got into trouble. The family didn't have many visitors. They were not known for attending local events or hosting gatherings. Still, no past issues were recorded by police or neighbors. There were no reports of loud arguments or disturbances at the home. Photos found online showed family trips to local parks and fishing spots. In several pictures, all three appeared smiling. To people who saw those images, they seemed like a regular family, without any signs of serious problems. There were no signs that the family had a history of violence. Nothing in public records showed abuse or neglect. The past seemed calm, making the events that followed even more unexpected. The court continued to examine the full case against Trevor Lee. After months of delays, legal teams presented all the findings in a series of private hearings. Every detail was reviewed, including his mental condition and family background. His defense lawyer argued for treatment instead of punishment. They said Trevor needed help and should stay in a juvenile system. The prosecutor, however, pushed for adult charges due to the seriousness of the crime. A judge later ruled that Trevor would be tried as an adult. That decision changed the direction of the case. He was moved to a different facility where older inmates were kept in separate housing for safety. Court dates were set, but more delays came as new evaluations were requested. Both sides asked for more time to prepare. The case did not move quickly, and no trial date was confirmed within the first year. In the meantime, Trevor remained in custody. His communication was limited, and his access to visitors was restricted. The state continued to hold him under close observation while the legal process unfolded. Legal experts across the state followed the case closely. Some said it could lead to changes in how young suspects are handled in violent crimes. Others believe the outcome would be used as an example in future court decisions. As the case remained open, the family home stayed empty. A for sale sign was placed in the yard, and neighbors passed by quietly. The house became a reminder of a tragic event that deeply changed the area. The events in Middleburg left a lasting mark on everyone who followed the case. The loss of 2 lives and the young age of the person charged made the situation difficult to forget. People across the state continued to talk about what happened. Community programs started focusing more on family wellness and teen support. Some local leaders created new outreach groups for parents and youth. They hoped early action could stop future tragedies from happening. The house where the killings took place was eventually sold. New owners made changes to the outside and planted fresh flowers. Still, those who lived nearby said the memory of that day would always be part of the neighborhood. Media outlets covered the story for months, but later moved on. Only a few reporters continued checking for updates. Online forums where the case was discussed grew quiet over time, though some people still posted old photos and news links. The case also raised bigger discussions about the justice system. Lawmakers mentioned the need for better rules around how young suspects are handled in violent cases. Some experts said more attention should be given to what children face behind closed doors. Trevor's legal situation remained unsettled as court actions moved slowly. His name stayed in the records, and public interest faded little by little. The way of the crime, however, remained clear in every official report and document. As the years passed, the story stayed with many people who knew the family or watched the news. The lives of David, Lee, and Brandi Smith were remembered by co-workers, neighbors, and a quiet town that would never be quite the same. Here at Unseen Crime Dossiers, we're driven by a mission to uncover hidden realities, honor forgotten voices, and keep their memories alive. If this story made you pause, reflect, or feel something, there's more coming that will challenge you even deeper. Make sure to hit subscribe, tap the like button, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a case. We're dropping new episodes regularly, and trust us, what's ahead is even more chilling. Before you go, we want to hear from you. What moment hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments. Your perspective matters, and your voice helps keep these stories alive. Until next time, stay alert, stay informed, and never stop seeking the truth, because every life deserves to be heard.